In ancient Rome, a slave philosopher named Epictetus taught his students a paradox. True power comes not from controlling others, but from mastering indifference. They try to hurt you with words, with rejection, with betrayal. But here's what they don't understand: your pain is a choice. Your suffering is voluntary. When you master weaponized indifference, their attacks become nothing but wind against stone. They expect tears, give them silence. They want reaction, give them void. In this emptiness lies your ultimate power. Consider the nature of emotional warfare. When someone attempts to wound you, they require your participation. Your anger, your pain, your desperate need for validation, these are the weapons they use against you. But what happens when you remove these weapons from their arsenal? Weaponized indifference is not mere passivity. It's not the weak surrender of one who cannot fight. It is the calculated decision of a strategic mind. Like the martial artist who uses an attacker's force against them, the master of indifference transforms hostile energy into emptiness. Picture yourself as a fortress. Most build high walls, stock ammunition, prepare for endless battle. But the ultimate fortress, it's invisible. When they throw stones, they pass through air. When they scream threats, they echo in emptiness. You become untouchable not through armor but through absence. Your enemies have a playbook. They know exactly how to push your buttons because you've shown them where those buttons are. But imagine their confusion when they reach for triggers that no longer exist. When your hot buttons turn cold, when their most devastating attacks meet nothing but calm observation. This is not just defense, it's psychological decimation. But here's the crucial distinction. Weaponized indifference is not emotional numbness. You still feel everything. You simply choose not to be moved by what doesn't serve your purpose. Like a general selecting their battles, you choose which emotions deserve your energy. The method is systematic. First, identify your emotional triggers. These are the strings others pull to puppet you. Second, observe these triggers without judgment. Watch how they operate, their patterns, their power over you. Third, begin the practice of conscious non-reaction. When triggered, pause. Observe the impulse to react. Let it pass through you like a wave. Fourth, transform observation into power. Your calm becomes a mirror, reflecting their chaos back to them. The ultimate test comes when facing real threats. Someone attacks your reputation. Watch it like a movie. They betray your trust. Note it like a scientist. They try to provoke your anger. Study their technique with professional curiosity. This is how you become unstoppable, not through force but through its opposite. Not through resistance, but through radical acceptance turned into strategic advantage. Remember, the goal isn't to feel nothing. The goal is to choose what moves you. To make your emotional engagement a conscious decision rather than a manipulated response. In time, you'll notice something remarkable. The more you master this art, the less you need it. Real threats become rare because you're no longer an attractive target. You've become like water, impossible to wound, impossible to grasp, yet capable of wearing away mountains with patient indifference. This is the ultimate shield of the Stoic warrior. Not an armor that can be pierced, but an emptiness that cannot be touched. Practice this and watch how your enemies defeat themselves, exhausted by attacking what is no longer there. Try to break him for weeks. Insults, provocations, emotional manipulation. But Marcus stood unmoved, a stone pillar in a storm of drama. His coworkers couldn't understand how their attacks seemed to slide off him like water. They didn't know he had mastered weaponized indifference, the ultimate psychological shield. Your emotions are a vulnerability that others will exploit. Every reaction you show is ammunition they can use against you. But there's a darker truth they don't want you to know. True power lies in weaponized indifference. When you master the art of genuine non-reaction, you don't just defend yourself, you break their will to attack. Because nothing frustrates an aggressor more than a target that cannot be wounded. The ancient Stoics understood this profound truth. The world can only hurt you through the doorway of your own reactions. Close that door and you become untouchable. Not through anger, not through counterattack, but through the cultivation of pure indifference. This isn't the fake indifference of forced smiles and suppressed rage. Those are masks that crack under pressure. This is the genuine indifference that comes from understanding a fundamental truth. Nothing external can truly harm your inner citadel unless you allow it. Most people live as emotional slaves, their peace held hostage by every slight, every criticism, every betrayal. They waste their lives being puppet mastered by others' actions. But there's another path. Become the unmovable center of your universe. Let them rage, let them scheme, let them try to provoke you. Their actions are nothing but weather patterns observed, noted, and dismissed. Marcus had learned this the hard way. For years, he was a reactor, someone whose emotional state could be manipulated by anyone who knew which buttons to push. Every criticism felt like a knife, every rejection was a wound. Until he discovered the ancient practice of profound indifference. The method is deceptively simple, yet it requires iron discipline. First, you must truly accept that other people's actions have no inherent meaning beyond what you assign them. Their words are just vibrations in the air. Their actions are just movements of flesh and bone. Second, you must train yourself to see attacks as information rather than threats. When someone tries to provoke you, they're actually giving you valuable intelligence about their own weaknesses and fears. Third, you must understand that genuine indifference is not a pose or a tactic. It's a fundamental shift in how you process reality. You don't pretend attacks don't hurt. You genuinely recognize they cannot hurt your essential self. The results of this practice are profound. When Marcus implemented these principles, his workplace transformed. Not because others changed, but because they lost all power to affect his internal state. Their attacks became like shadows trying to wound a mountain. Remember, weaponized indifference isn't about becoming cold or unfeeling. It's about choosing what deserves your emotional energy. It's about building an inner fortress so strong that you can selectively lower its walls from a position of strength, not vulnerability. In time, those who once attacked Marcus began to seek his counsel. They sensed, perhaps unconsciously, that he had accessed something they desperately needed: true emotional sovereignty. This is the paradox of weaponized indifference. When you truly stop caring about the attacks, they not only cease to harm you, they begin to serve you. Every attempt to disturb your peace becomes another brick in your fortress of tranquility. Master this, and you master life itself. In ancient Rome, there lived a slave who would become emperor. His name was Epictetus, and he mastered an art more powerful than any weapon: the art of not giving a damn. Your emotions are a leash, and everyone around you is fighting to grab hold of it. They'll use anger to make you react, guilt to make you comply, and shame to make you conform. But what if you could cut that leash entirely? What if you could become truly unleashable? This is the power of weaponized indifference. The modern world is an assault on your attention. Every notification, Every headline, every social media update, they're all hooks, waiting to sink into your emotional flesh. They want you to care, they need you to care, because when you care, you can be controlled. But there's a darker truth here. The more you care about things you cannot control, the more you surrender your power to forces beyond your reach. Think of the last time someone's words wounded you deeply. Now ask yourself, did those words have power because they were true, or because you gave them permission to matter? Here's what they don't tell you about emotional resilience. It's not about growing a thicker skin, it's about choosing your battlegrounds. Most people are emotional prostitutes, giving their reactions away to anyone who demands them. But true power lies in emotional celibacy, in the ability to look at chaos and say, "This deserves none of my energy." The Stoics understood something that modern self-help gurus miss entirely. Indifference isn't a passive state, it's a weapon. When wielded correctly, it can break the spirit of your opponents while preserving your own. Consider Marcus Aurelius, who wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury, but I'll take it further. The best revenge is to be unmoved by the injury altogether." Here are the 3 levels of weaponized indifference. Level 1. Selective caring. You must audit your emotional investments like a ruthless banker. Does this situation truly deserve your emotional energy? Will caring about this matter in 5 years? If not, cut it loose. Level 2. Strategic detachment. When someone tries to provoke you, understand that they're asking for your emotional resources. By remaining unmoved, you deny them what they seek. Their power evaporates. Level 3. Absolute sovereignty. This is the mastery level. You reach a state where external events cannot penetrate your internal fortress. Not because you're numb, but because you've chosen your emotional battlegrounds with surgical precision. Remember, your attention is a finite resource. Your emotional energy is your life force. Every time you react, you spend both. Every time you get offended, you donate power to your opponents. The next time someone tries to provoke you, give them the gift of your indifference. Watch as they escalate, desperate for your emotional engagement. And feel the power that comes from denying them that satisfaction. This isn't about becoming cold, it's about becoming sovereign. It's about understanding that your emotional reactions are too valuable to be handed out like cheap carnival prizes to every passing provocation. In a world that profits from your emotional reactions, indifference becomes rebellion. In a society that demands your attention, detachment becomes freedom. Choose your emotional battles wisely, for in the end, we become what we repeatedly feel. Make sure those feelings serve your empire, not someone else's.